Our R&Ring an EGR valve on this A26 engine inside this International LT truck. So, got the new valve over here. Right there, not sure if that's going to be your same part number, but new valves in there. And yeah, first we're going to do is remove that intake box deal. Disconnect this. Loosen off this clamp. I'm using a 3/8 on this, even though it's a little smaller than that, but this works. I'm just going to let it sit there until we get the hardware for this box removed and pull up the whole thing all at once. Now these intake boxes are really famous for the isolators in the front and back, these rubber pieces there for braking, stripping, and then you're just it's a nightmare to remove them. So we're going to remove them from the brackets. 2 bolts there, we got the 2 bolts under there, now we got that bolt up there for a bracket, and then those 2 bolts down there. Remove all those and then disconnect the spring clamp for this breather hose for the air compressor, and then should be able to just pull this out. So they got some sneaky annoying stuff happening back there. Again, the clamp's kind of a pain, and then we have this frame clamp here that holds that hose, which the fastener obviously is rotted off on this one. But just to make it easier, just pulling that off from the spring clamp back there from the intake, be a bit of a pain. Make it easier, I just removed that section right there. So I'll just remove this whole hose assembly as one with the box, which will make it a lot easier because it's a lot better getting to that clamp than it is to the one behind the intake. So pop that off, and then this thing should be pretty much loose. Yeah, we'll pull this whole assembly off as one. And go from there. Well, there we go. Yeah, that would be on yours. This one's broke off, and getting to this would be a pain. So yeah, pulling it off here, definitely the way to go. Just gotta get rid of this thing. There's our EGR valve right there. Just gotta pull that heat shield off, disconnect it, and we'll drain some coolant. Don't have to drain a lot because it's sitting on the top of the engine. But yeah, just drain some coolant and then pop those heat shields off to get to the clamps and the bellows tubes. Okay, the bolts for the heat shield are those 2. There's one back there, one down there, and then one on the side there. Pull those 5 bolts out and that heat shield comes right off. To remove that heat shield, we're going to take this pipe off, just make it a whole lot easier. So we'll pull this off there. We'll undo that nut and then pull this bolt off, and this pipe will just swing it out of the way because it's on a hose, and that'll give us full access to the bolts, and we'll be able to just lift that heat shield right out of there. There we go. There's our EGR valve. Just gotta pop those bellow tubes off, and there's 4 bolts holding that thing down. Alright, just removing the 4 mounting bolts. They're 13 mil heads. removed the nuts off of these two clamps. I'm going to just try to remove these two clamps and then pull this out without removing these bellows, but I might have to remove this front one just to pull this up, out and up, but we'll see. Well, we got her all broke free. Got those clamps broke free. EGR valve was free. I just forgot to undo this coolant line right there. So we're gonna go remove that, and hopefully this just comes right out. I'm actually gonna go ahead and remove this front clamp because struggling to pull this back far enough to pop this out. So if I remove this clamp, then I can move this whole bellows tube up and be able to pop this valve out while leaving the rear one intact. So I got it unbolted. Just have to crack this seal as I did with the others. Grab my hammer, and hopefully that's it. Okay, got the old valve off, got the new one here. Just gonna clean up the bellow tubes, as the EGR valve came with 4 new clamps, which is cool. So get these all cleaned up and transfer over these coolant fittings and install our new valve. And process is this reverse of removal. So put everything back that we've taken apart, and then vacuum fill the cooling system and clear the codes. Should be good to go. Well, this seems to be the easiest way to install it by the looks of it, just kind of getting it in there, having your 2 flex clamps on both sides. These are tightened. Okay, the valve is back in there with the new clamps, and just make sure those clamps are all facing up like that, because they'll fit right in the raised section of the heat shield. I got that bottom coolant line in. I'm gonna wait to put the top one in, and yeah, it's just make sure she fits. There we go, just like that.